Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Vedic religion. Ways of Vedas in Tamil. There is a recording on stone of the times of Karikala Chola in chaste Sanskrit. It says, Bhadra Kalita Vedanam Shastra Marga Anusarinam Tatetu Arikalasya Karikalasya Sashanam. It means that the Karikala is the destroyer of all enemies. Who were his enemies? All those who do not abide by the directions of Vedas were his enemies. He was a protector of those who followed the preachings of Vedas. His Sashanam or recorded permanent instruction is that such people should be protected. This is a written record on stone that famous Tamil kings were very beneficent towards Vedas and Vedic practitioners. A Pandya king of Sangha Kala period was called Palyagasalai Kudumbame Peru Vazhudhi, meaning that he had patronized conduct of many yagyas. Later too, all over South India, we have come across many inscriptions on stone to record the fact of donating real estate to Vedic scholars. Such villages as were donated for the growth and protection of all the four Vedas were known as Chaturvedi Mangalam. All over Tamil Nadu, there are many villages with the name Chaturvedi Mangalam. When any foreign matter comes to our country, for some time it retains its foreign sounding name. Later it gets the name as translated in Tamil, for example, bus, radio, telephone, and so on. Not all the Tamil names survive in usage. For example, Urundai Kundi Pathiram for round bottomed flask. This is not the case with the Tamil words concerning Vedas and Vedic practices. Some people claim that things like Vedam and Yagam have come from outside, contrary to erstwhile civilization of South India. If that was so, there could not be suitable Tamil words for Sanskrit words, for example, Veda and Yaga. In the earliest of Tamil literatures, there are innumerable mentions of Marai for Veda and Velvi for Yaga. Velvi comes from the Tamil word Vettal. Yagas are a method to offer oblations in fire. The idea is to offer materials to a particular god through the fire god, who is the conveyor for wish fulfillment. So, Velvi has derived out of Vettal. Similarly, the Tamil word for Veda is Marai. Marai in Tamil means hidden. Veda is like the root at the base on which the complete religion and civilization and culture rest. Like the root, it is hidden from view and not seen. It is also hidden, or Marai means it is not known to all and sundry. It is known only to some who have to sacrifice their entire life for that purpose, maintaining every severe penance of abstinence. Even then, no man could know it at all, and some portion no man could know it all, and some portion of it will remain unheard or ununderstood or unknown, and so hidden from him too. It means that there cannot be a better word than Marai for the Vedas. It is not a translation but a concurrent Tamil word by which Veda was known. Unless Vedic culture and practices were part and parcel of Tamil life, such a beautiful word could not have evolved for a foreign ritual. Veda was not supposed to be written and read. It was meant to be hereditarily conveyed by word of mouth, heard, repeated, and committed to memory. So, it has another name in Tamil as Ezhudha Kizhavi, meaning unwritten heard saying. Even in Sanskrit, because Vedas are learnt by hearing, it has a name Shruti, meaning heard. So, actually, Marai defines the Veda better than even in the Sanskrit word. Any Vedic function has 6 parts or Shad Angas, which in Tamil is known as Shadangu. These are all clear indications of the fact that Vedas have been part of life in this part of the world from time immemorial and are not a foreign input. I am of the opinion that Thiruvalluvar's Tirukural, which is called the Tamil Marai, is actually totally harmonious with Vedic teachings and practices. In Vedic functions, Pitrus, that is, departed souls of ancestors, are appeased first before addressing the gods. Thiruvalluvar says the same thing. I quote then தென்புலத்தார் தெய்வம் விருந்து ஓக்கால் தான் என்று ஐம்புலத்தார் ஓம்பால் தலை. He says that Pitrus, deities, guests, relatives, and self should be taken care of in that order. Then Tenpulathar means Pitrus, as the direction of Yama is south as per Vedic beliefs, and so Sadhanarar or Tenpulathar are the Pitrus. They are to be appeased even before you invoke the gods. This fivefold distribution is what we do as per instructions of the Vedas. Other than this, as the share of the king, 1/6 of the produce or earning was given as tax. The balance after the tax is divided into 5 parts, out of which only 1 part is kept for oneself. For Pitrus, some people may be fed. 1/5 will go to the temple, 1/5 will be used for feeding the guests. Relatives who are not able to take care of themselves will be given 1 share. So a man out of his earnings or produce could keep only 1/6 for himself and his wife and children. Is there a better socialism than what Vaidikam and Valluvar have ordained? Instead of living only for oneself, to lead a life of concern and care for the world and society is the ideal which is the foundation of Vaidika Dharma. Tiruvalluvar talks of the same thing. Tirukural and other Tamil books on ethics and morals are evolved out of the Marai, that is the Vedas. Tiruvalluvar spoke the truths of Veda only. The Tamil poet Avvaiyar starts her preachings with Odamal Urunalum Irukka Vendam, meaning never should a day be spent without chanting of Vedas. All the Alvars and Nayanamars have referred to the Vedas and Vedic practices innumerable times. They address God by the name of the various branches of Vedas. They talk of Vedas Sabdagosham, that is, while describing any city or town, they say that the very atmosphere is resounding with the Veda chants. The whole city is described to be covered by the smoke from Yagashalas. In Tamil Nadu, the non-Brahmins have contributed immensely in landed properties, cash and kite, as well as labor for maintaining the Vedic traditions and practices. Even now, for some political reasons, some amount of anti-God, anti-Brahmin, anti-Veda, anti-traditional tendencies are apparent. I am of the opinion that the real undercurrent is not so. You cannot take away the Tamil man's vasanai, the pun on both the words meant. His belief in God is not lost. His trust in Vedas is not gone. His love for tradition and culture is not diminished. If only the Brahmin can mend his way and is seen to be more truly observing his rules and regulations, the whole situation can turn the corner for the better. Then the Veda Rakshanam will be done very well again. Veda's original form. I feel very sad that nowadays there are many fighting on the pretext of languages, saying this language is great and that language is bad, and so on. It is even better if we all become deaf and dumb. I feel language is a tool to express one's ideas. It cannot be the same in all lands. Each collection of people will talk in their own tongue. It is below par and meaningless to fight claiming one's own language to be better than others. We can classify them as known and unknown, and not as yours and mine. To fight on the basis of language is parochial and crudely narrow minded. It is further wrong to think that one's language is superior to the religion and God. I would be the first one to say, forget about Sanskrit if its worth is to be assessed only on the grounds of its being another language. But our religion is Hinduism, and all the Vedas and Shastras of Hinduism are in that language. So as to protect one's own religion and Shastras, the Sanskrit language also should be protected. Tiruvalluvar wrote the Kural and brought it to Madurai to present it to the scholars for approval. He kept it on the Sangha Palagai, a decorated ornamental wooden platform in the pond of golden lotus on which were seated all the scholars. All of them fell into the pond while the Kural floated majestically. Many poets have sung encomiums of praise of Kural, known as Tiruvalluva Malai. One of the songs goes like this. அரியமும் செந்தமிழும் அரைந்து இடைநினைந்து சீரெழுது இது என்று செப்ப அரிதம் அரியம் வேத முதைத்து தமிழ் திருவள்ளுவர் ஓது குரட்பா உதைத்து. The poet says, I carried out a deep analysis as to which language is better. Is it Sanskrit or Tamil? They are both almost equal. It is difficult to say that one is higher and the other is lower. Veda is in Sanskrit, but now Tamil has the Kural. So now they are absolutely equal. So the poet has confirmed that the greatness of Sanskrit is due to its having Vedas. Some may think, how does it matter if the Vedas are in Sanskrit? Let us translate them. Many books and poems are being translated nowadays from the original language. Sometimes they completely lose their original shape in translation. When somebody says something, if it remains in the language that he used, sometime or the other, one could get the exact meaning of what was said. There could be a particular word most appropriate in that language. When translated, there may be 5 or 6 words with the same meaning available in the second language, but may deviate from the original intention. A particular word in a particular language may carry a special meaning with reference to the context, and that meaning may be lost in translation. Then again, much is going to depend on the translator's level of understanding in two things. One, his understanding of the subject under discussion, and two, his understanding of the language he is translating. Further dimensions will be added when you consider the reader's level of understanding of the subject and his language. Often irreconcilable confusion prevails when more than one translation is available. At that time, the only recourse is to refer to the original. Now, KTSV says, this is preciously why I feel that my translation would have served its purpose when the reader decides to read the original Deivathin Kural in Tamil. In that too, you have to go for the printed version by Vanadi Padipagam Chennai, as the Tamil website version as of now is too full of typing mistakes. So the root Vedas should be kept in its pristine form. It is this that each Acharya has interpreted differently and expressed their own concepts accordingly. They have not changed the original as per their interpretations. So they have not created a new religion. The root remains the same. The root Vedas have not been translated but interpreted. Because the root remained the same, new interpretations have given rise to new branches of the same tree instead of becoming a new religion. All these religions have a common name of Vaidika Matam, and the branches are called Shaka, which means branches in Sanskrit. Scriptures or conscience. Dharmam, that is what is morally correct, is to be done for the well being of the world without an iota of personal likes and dislikes. With one mindness, the great thinkers have given us the books on dharmam, that is ethics and morality. The Dharma Shastras are the books that give directions on what is right in various situations. To know the form, I is the pramanam or authoritative proof of evidence. The pramanam for dharma is Dharma Shastra itself. For all dharmas, the root is Veda. Veda is known as Shruti. Shruti means what is heard. Though in the modern times, what is heard is called hearsay and is not admissible as evidence, here it has the opposite power. It has this name because it is learned by the process of hearing and saying. After Shruti, in order of authority, is Smriti, meaning that which is remembered. Smriti takes the Veda and gives detailed analysis and notes. Shruti and Smriti put together are known as Dharma Shastra. After Smriti, the Pramanam is the behavior of elders. We get to know about how our elders behaved in various situations from the Puranas. Then is the Pramanam of the behavior of sisters. It is called Sishtacharam. These are the people who have belief in Shastras and they live their lives strictly as per the Shastras. They are beyond the hazards of desire and anger. Such people are called Sishtas and their acharam or behavior becomes immutable and so Pramanam. Then, in the order of authority, as Pramanam is one's own conscience, in any given situation, the involved attached mind says one thing, and the unattached, unsoiled, and unbiased, clear mind says something else, and that is the conscience, which is also a Pramanam. So, in religious and purely subjective matters, Vedas, Dharma Shastras, behavior of rishis of olden times, behavior of present day sisters, and lastly, one's own conscience is that in that order should be taken as Pramanam. Nowadays, the whole thing has been turned upside down. First is the conscience is taken as Pramanam and Veda is the last. In actual fact, when one is confronted by a situation in which none of the established system of authority can give you a solution to the problem in hand, then and then alone, one is supposed to refer to the conscience. Actually, in Tamil, the conscience is called Manasachi or witness mind. Why is the mind called Manasachi? It has the right to be a witness only, not to make a judgment. The person who has come as the witness can say a lie. You can't trust the mouth as a witness. But the mind will not bluff. The mind knows the truth. Avai Patti said, Nenjai uluttoru vanjagamillai, meaning you cannot hide your mischief from your own mind. So it can be a witness, only a witness. Nowadays, in matters of religion, the mind or conscience is being employed as a judge itself. It will correctly report on what happened. It cannot say as to what is the justice. It will somehow justify whatever it thinks is correct. So each man looking at the same and single event could report correctly but arrive at different decisions. How can this be justice as per dharma? So it is anathema to say, I am doing as per my conscience. Straight away, you cannot give the mind the power of discretion. Only when confronted by a situation not otherwise solvable, that is, in a dilemma, you can ask your mind, what do you say now? Since you have you seen everything, now tell me your opinion. Mind belongs to individuals. We can't predict as to up to what extent it will enable him to talk or decide without selfishness. Whatever place you can give your mind in personal matters, in matters of religion, it cannot be given that power of authority. Those rishis who went beyond the compulsions of selfishness from the individual conscience and lifted to the level of universal conscience, their sayings and opinions are the pranama in matters of religion and dharma. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shankara recommends the Sanatana Dharma. In English, there is a proverb which says, give the dog a bad name and hang it. Dog is an animal which has a sense of gratitude and loyalty to the master. Nobody will accept its being hung. So, someone possibly gave it a bad name before hanging it in the gallows. The new modern reformists are doing the same thing with our Dharma Shastras, that which was supremely responsible for the glory of this country and its culture, arts, and civilization, is being given a bad name of being the cause for all the social evils. Some true due to individual aberration and some imaginary, but both of them accruing out of the very dubious progress of modernization. So as to be packed off, some people do not want the Varna Dharma as delineated by Sanatana Shastras. So, some untoward happenings are being wantonly attributed to the Shastras. It is being alleged that because people were divided by their work as per their caste, they have no unity and so foreigners could invade and rule over them. Many a time, nothing can be farther away from the truth than this. Faced with a common enemy, the kings of this country could have had their differences, but there is no evidence of people having mutual enmity and helping the outsiders. Actually, now only when everyone is talking of removing the differences, there is more rupture in the fabric of the society. Contrary to this, till very recently, we have seen evidences of mutual cooperation and concord. If there was a difference of opinion on some land dispute between two villages, the whole village stood as one. A man of a particular caste from one village will not join hands with another man from the other village, even if he is of the same caste. If this was the condition in village loyalty, when it came to the matter of the country loyalty, you can imagine. Small societies had self discipline and self pride, so they could live amicably among themselves and solve their disputes within themselves. Each community had its superior called the Natanamaikarar. Within the community, everybody respected, obeyed, and feared him. Other than advising and ticking off, he had the power to punish. If need be, he could banish people from his caste. Because people had self respect and love for the community, this banishment was much feared. This kept them from open defiance and indiscipline and guarded them from going astray. Now, there is no social control as the grassroots levels, resulting in crimes being committed with a devil may care attitude that the work of the police is ever increasing. Those who are against the Shastras and Varna Dharma may give this aspect the attention it deserves. There will always be some opposition for anything. It is good to have opposition. Our real God, our real good and bad points will be confirmed either way by there being an effective opposition. Opposition has an important role to play in guarding against complacency. But in the name of opposition, one should not resort to non existent untruths to decry the good and noble and send it to the gallows. One more example of ill founded untruth is about wearing of namam or vibhuti, the three vertical or lateral marks on the forehead done by applying the sacred clay or ashes. There is no caste distinction in wearing this. This may indicate that you are from the Hindu religion. The idea is to think of God, at least at the time of wearing it. Vaishnavites wear the namam with the fine white dust collected from the earth, as they see Vishnu is every speck of dust, as the first name is in Vishnu Sahasranamam shloka is Vishwam, meaning the world. The Shiva Bhaktas wear the vibhuti, which is made in a special way, collecting ashes by burning cow dung with some additives or simply from the yagya fire. Shiva is known to wear ashes all over his body. So you think of Shiva whenever you wear the vibhuti. Then is the idea that from ashes unto ashes, so as to remind ourselves not to get too proud and remember our ephemerality. Where is the caste thing in this? The Westerner may call it the war paint with disdain out of ignorance. But when the real reason is explained, even he will not flinch from doing so. Can you hang such a meaningful religious symbolic act by the neck, giving it a bad name? We have been ordered by Adi Shankara to guard the old dharmas without a break. Since I bear his name, you have come to listen to me. I am duty bound to inform you of his directions. Whether you wear the namam or vibhuti or do not wear it, setting that aside, I am at the least trying to make you understand that scriptural requirements have come into practice, keeping individual and collective well being of the society in mind only. Om Shri Mahaperiva Sharanam.